How do we best celebrate Brexit Day?
Hello and welcome to the Mark and Pete Show. Well, a countdown clock will be projected onto Downing Street as part of government plans to mark Brexit Day. Hurrah! Yes, January the 31st at 11 p.m, Prime Minister Boris Johnson will give a special address to the nation. But many other people feel that there are some better ways of actually celebrating our exit from the EU club. Some people believe that Big Ben should be chimed at this particular marked moment. And in fact, campaigns are already underway to actually get this in place. But of course, it's the cost. And in fact, what is even more remarkable is that the Brexit Party MEP, Richard Tice, has said it's pathetic that Parliament can't get Big Ben to ring on Brexit Day. Well, as we all know, everyone's got lots of ideas, and we're going to explore some more. But, of course, on Mark and Pete show, we always like to give some useful suggestions. And when we look at this particular subject, it's always good to ring in the changes. Bing bong, will Big Ben ever chime to finally announce Brexit time? Bang bing, the budget's on a string. Who should pay for the bell to ring? Cling clang, can EU friends we like listen joyfully to every single strike? Bish bosh, remember all the negotiation tussles? Instead, let's wring the necks of those in Brussels. I think a useful suggestion.
That's a good way, yes.
So, Clergyman Pete, that's one suggestion. But do you have any other ideas of how we can best celebrate Brexit Day?
Well, here is my guiding light on this. I think that it's celebrating Brexit Day. What we're really celebrating is getting our country back, getting control of the borders back, getting back the right to make all our own laws. Because many laws in Britain, some people say over 75%, were actually in response to EU directives. So what we're doing is celebrating the Britain being free. So here are a few suggestions. Then I'm just going to put them to you, and gentle listener, if you want to, log on to Mark and Pete, go to and you'll get to the Spreaker podcast page, and just put in your comments. Tell us what you think. markandpete.com. That'll get in touch with us. But here's my suggestions. I think what we're talking about is a celebration of Britishness, so we can hark back to other times when we celebrate Britishness. So we can have, of course, the national anthem being played, or possibly, with regard to getting back our fishing waters rather, we could have Britannia rules the way, all that sort of stuff.
Yes, flag waving.
Have a bit of singing, bit of flag waving, and maybe Jerusalem played as well, the hymn Jerusalem. But also have a flyover of the Red Arrows or a similar aircraft team from the RAF, and have that sort of celebration, a bit of pomp and circumstance. I mean, personally, I think we should also have something like, the guard of Buckingham Palace out there marching up and down and having a bit of pomp and circumstance, have some Britishness to it. That's what I would say.
Yes, well, I like that idea, and I think that Nigel Farage would be great at leading it.
I think put him in a tutu and in a tutu with whatever that big wand is that they said that
that's right.
Throw up and down in front of the band.
Well, I
have no idea what it's called. But anyway, that thing.
And I think that this is something that probably is good suggestions from Clergyman Pete, but I have something that's slightly longer lasting. And that is that whilst I do think that there is some merit in having Big Ben chime, although I know that the cost is certainly something that could be crowdfunded if the government can't, stick up the funds, if they feel that maybe the money should be spent elsewhere. And I can understand both arguments. But what about making the 31st of January, or possibly even the 1st of February, a national holiday from here on to celebrate our independence?
Yeah, if it's going to be a day. Yes, if it's going to be a day, why not start it at 11 p.m. GMT and finish it 24 hours later, or maybe 25 hours later, so you go the whole day.
Well, but there's something more important than this. It's not just about Brexit as a day. It's also about celebrating Britishness. Because one of the things that has been a criticism is that we've never really marked a day of the United Kingdom, i.e. celebrating
UK
all
Day.
things that are good about being British.
Yes.
So here's an opportunity, Boris Johnson. Why not install a Britain Day? And this would be perfect for it. I do have another suggestion coming from the business angle. And this is sort of a little bit of if you like, an olive branch to the EU, and that is that we know that there are going to be some difficult times with negotiations. I appreciate all that, irrespective of whether on WTO rules or not. But for those who do decide to stay in the United Kingdom, wherever they may reside and wherever they may officially be registered, why not actually businesses give a little bit of a bonus every year, marking the day for those who decide to actually work in the United Kingdom. So on the 1st of February, for example, or the 31st of January, is that you give the people a spot bonus for joining. I mean, why not? I think people would welcome that. Maybe some executives are splurting over the coffee at that one.
That's a good idea.
But I like the idea because it's about being British.
Yes.
Any other thoughts from your side?
Yeah. Well, I think there are quite a few things about being British that can be celebrated. I was thinking about. I was thinking earlier about the pomp and circumstance, having the have a special changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace and all that sort of thing. But there are other pieces of music or styles of music. You could have a real big music festival.
Yes.
Celebrating British music, but also have a big British music festival in the big music festivals are part of what we do in Britain, and have them across the country, big celebrations. Yes. You could have this is what I think would be in line with how I see the importance of Brexit, and that is have a big Christian celebration with some of the best in Christian music, old and new, and celebrate our freedom from the EU, not in terms of doing down the EU, but rather looking to the future and celebrating, bringing back the Christian nature of Britain, good side of it. I know, yes, because there's always bad sides to everything. We don't want to go back to Victorian times when we're all looking a bit dour. Well, yeah, fair enough. But what I'm saying is celebrate the joyful nature of the Christian side of Britain. Now, you see, what people forget about this is very international, of people coming into Britain. Think of all the big black churches in Britain. Absolutely brilliant churches from Nigeria and other places which were part of the Commonwealth, and Christians are coming. We get a huge Christian celebration. People have said, "Why don't you ring the church bells?" Well, you can do that, but that's bring it up to date with some top-notch Christian music and have a huge celebration. So music, basically. I'm talking about music, including worship music, and having a huge celebration. It could be known as the biggest musical celebration and festival of the year, the Brexit Festival.
Yes. Well, I like the idea, and I certainly think that certainly bringing communities together, certainly around a church, and I think that would be welcomed by all. And we already know that localism is something that we very much
in each church is exactly right. In each church across the land, get together and sing joyous songs of freedom.
Yes. Now, I want to come back to the Big Ben idea. Because there have been some controversy over this, because some people have said, as I mentioned about MEP Richard Tice, saying that actually the government really should be putting this together. But as we know, that certain politicians and in fact leading businessmen, in fact I believe the millionaire businessman Aaron Banks, and who was very much in the Leave Means Leave group, donated a sizable amount of money to the campaign, which
50,000,
currently, £50,000, and it's building up to hundreds of thousands of pounds. Now, some people may say, well, that gesture is commendable, but really perhaps those monies could go elsewhere. Now, for me, I think in time, this is when Big Ben is renovated, folks. So for our international listeners, if you haven't visited London recently, Big Ben is currently going under a major renovation project.
And Big Ben, just also for international listeners, is the massive bell in
Yes.
that tower at the House of Commons,
Yes.
which always used to chime to mark the hour. But yes, it's been broken, and the mechanism and the floor that held it has been taken out
Yes.
since New Year, when it was
Yeah.
last run. At least that's what we're told. Hence the huge cost.
Yes, exactly. But in time, once it's all done, I
Yes.
could see that certainly Big Ben chiming at 11 p.m. Every January the 31st would be a good gesture. But I think in terms of other suggestions, do we think that we should even go down the route of merchandising, folks? Come on, I mean,
Yes, I think so.
let's,
I think so. No,
let's have a Brexit mug. Let's have a Brexit T-shirt. Why not do something about that?
I don't know what you think, but I think, along with Nigel Farage, who suggested this, really, surprisingly, we have a hero. Boris Johnson is our hero in bringing this about. We should have Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson design. That mop of blonde hair makes him easy to caricature, but it also makes
being
designers.
the operative word.
Yeah. But I mean, you could have quite a few. You could have, I think, a plushie. Those squashy toys that you have, a bit like a cushion. A Boris Johnson plushie. You could sit on your Boris Johnson plushie, sipping sipping English breakfast tea out of your Boris Johnson mug, or possibly a nice mug of scotch, because we like to be inclusive, includes all the parts of the United Kingdom. But yes, merchandising, you could use humorous depictions of the Prime Minister, but also bring the Queen in. When we talk about bringing back sovereignty, she is the sovereign. So how all the sort of the royal celebrations, they all come back as well. We have that sort of saying. What is it? Keep on, carry on, isn't it? Carry on,
keep
and
calm and carry on.
That's it. Keep calm. That was trying to remember. Keep calm and carry on. Keep calm and be and something Brexit. I haven't quite got the flow to it yet, but you get the idea.
I can tell. Yes.
It doesn't scan yet. I'm working on it.
No. But I do have another suggestion, and this is something to really, again, as another olive branch to our friends across the waters, particularly in the EU community, and that is maybe one cultural gesture in the future could be that all British people who happen to be in mainland Europe on the 31st of January in any given year in the future maybe lends out a nice gesture to their particular hosts. Now, that could be a gift, small gift and a gesture. It could be a celebration on the day. It could be something which, again, just shows that there's no ill feelings on the fact that we've sort of left the club. So, and there are many suggestions. I would certainly invite, people to come up with ideas for that. But I think that just simply keeping it purely to the Fair Isles of United Kingdom is great. But I think maybe some other gesture, whilst those British people might be out there doing business or even on holiday or even just living there, could actually do something as a nice little gesture. And I think that would be good. What are your thoughts there? Because we want to sort of make sure that we've not left them all behind.
No, yes,
some people might think that.
Yes, I think that's a good suggestion. I like being generous and welcoming, and I think though that we need to. I think it would be that we need to have a sort of reflective moment as well. I think if we have all the big celebrations and then maybe have a time, let me take us all back to times in the past where the country has been brought together. During the Second World War, there was I was reading earlier, there was a group put together of Christians to find out how we cope with this situation coming out of the war. The war has been won. What do we do next? And part of what they did was came together for prayer. And the king called several days of prayer during the war. And so coming together for prayer after the war seemed natural. We haven't been doing that so much. But maybe that could come back, coming back to prayer. Now, I recognise that not everyone is a Christian, so for an atheist it could be a time of silent reflection. For other monotheistic religions, people members of those religions like Jews or Muslims, they could pray in their own way. But coming back to pray for the future of the country, pray for Britain, to give thanks in a sort of a more of a somber, reflective way, as well as the big celebration. And that could be done at a specific time. It strikes me, actually, that it's best done just before the big celebration. So before 11 o'clock on the 31st, there's just a little bit of a time of silence, a quiet time. Maybe a particular piece of music could be chosen so it's not totally silent. And then there's a countdown, and then there's the big explosion of celebration. I think if it's just all noise, while you're not going to be as thoughtful about giving thanks as you would be if you just spent that little bit of time reflecting and giving thanks. So that's what I would suggest: prayer or reflection in some way, just to give thanks for our country being set free. I'm not wanting to rehash all the arguments over Brexit. It does really mean being set free from over-regulation, or at least over-regulation put on us by. We can over-regulate ourselves, I guess, but over-regulation from outside, and also it's being set free to trade and have relationships between countries across the world, and so it really is being set free. And one of the themes of the Bible is about being set free. It's said of Jesus, the Son, if he sets you free, you shall be free indeed. Now, it's not quite the same thing. I'm recognising that, but we do have more freedom, or will have more freedom, being outside of the customs union of the EU. So Psalm 95 verse 2 says how to respond to that. Let's come before his presence with thanksgiving. Let us shout joyfully to him with psalms. So really, in conclusion, what I would say is, yes, be generous to those outside of Britain who come from here. Be generous to people who come and work in Britain. Yes, have a bonus. Yes, sing songs. Let's have a light show and the countdown clock projected, and have either Big Ben bonging or a recording of it bonging. But most of all, make sure it's a joyous occasion and a celebration of being British.
Yes, well, and another gesture as well to conclude, listeners, is that Downing Street has already said that EU citizens will not automatically be deported if they fail to sign up to the settled status scheme by 2021. And that's a really important gesture, because under the settlement scheme, EU citizens living in the UK can apply to stay in the country after Brexit. Well, I think that's a good note
I just want to... Yes, it is a good book, because what's been asked of by the EU, particularly by Guy Verhofstadt in the EU Parliament, is that we automatically just give anyone from the EU working in Britain the right to stay and to have full rights. That's asking too much. But to not have a draconian application of the law is perhaps a better way to approach it. Just be generous.
Yeah. Well, indeed, listeners, what do you think? Because we want to really get your ideas in a couple of weeks away now before we actually leave the EU. Yes, folks, we're leaving the club. But just to give you a little bit of clue statistically, so far the number of applicants to the scheme has hit more than 2.7 million to actually apply to stay in the country. Yes, there we go.
More the merrier.
More the merrier. Come on, so sign up to markandpete.com and we'll forward your application.
Yes.
Yes. So
we might
please,
do. We might do.
Log on to markandpete.com. Let us know your thoughts. We really want your ideas, and we'll read them out on a celebration show on the 31st of January. So thanks for joining the show, and join us again next time for more colourful conversations with Clergyman Pete and Businessman Mark.